Are you or someone you know on a tough job search in 2025? If so, I'm gonna need you to save this video for later and please share it with someone who's on a tough job search. In this video, I'm gonna break down how you can figure out where things are breaking down on your job search and how you can fix it so you can land a job quicker. I've been in recruiting for coming up to a decade, and I've never seen job seekers struggle as much as they are right now, especially for corporate positions. There are simply not that many companies hiring, and there are a lot of really talented people on the market because of layoffs. Now, this video is a little bit longer, so again, you're gonna wanna save it and come back to it later. The first way you wanna think about a job search is in phases. You have different phases. You have the application phase, you have the screening phase, you have the interview phase, and you have the negotiation offer acceptance phase. I'm gonna break down each phase and how you know if something is breaking down in the interview. What I will say is if you are getting past one phase, it means there's probably nothing wrong with what you're doing and you can continue doing it. The first phase is the application phase. So how to know if you need to fix your resume. If you are applying to hundreds or thousands of jobs and not hearing back from anyone about next stages, you need to either fix your resume or you need to apply to jobs you're qualified for. If you want to know if you're qualified for a job, look at the job requirements and just do a simple list and see how many of those points you're actually qualified for. For example, if they're asking for 10 years of experience and you have 2 years experience, you are not qualified in the eyes of the company and you are going to get overlooked, especially in this market. But go down each bullet point and then just line it up with your experience. If you go through and you look at most of the qualifications and you don't meet them, this is not the market to shoot your shot. You need to adjust the jobs you're applying to. You should be seeing about a 1 to 3% response rate. That means for every 100 jobs you apply to, you should be hearing back from about 1 to 3% of those jobs. Once you start getting people to call you back for a screening call, then you know your resume is fixed and you're applying to the right jobs. You can move on to the next phase, which is the screening call. Essentially, the screening call is a call that recruiters set up with you where they're trying to figure out 3 things. Are you affordable? Are you qualified? And are you actually interested in the role? That's why you hear the questions, what do you know about the company? Or tell me a little bit about yourself. Or what salary are you targeting? They're just trying to figure out if they can afford you, if you're actually interested in the company, and of course, are you qualified? Now, you can try and figure out what they're looking for based on the job description, but most recruiters are also going to have had a conversation with the hiring manager to maybe find some stuff that's not on the job description. Maybe the hiring manager tells them what they see as a job hopper. So the recruiter is going to be looking for that on their resume, and they're going to probably bring up any kind of red flags or any questions they have in that screening call. Once you get past this screening call, you will go on to the interview phase. The interview phase is typically with the hiring manager or maybe leaders in the business. This is where the real interview takes place. Now, if you want to do well in one of these calls, you need to be prepared. I advise knowing about the company, knowing about the person you're interviewing and their background, and then, of course, knowing about the job description. If you want to prepare for these types of interviews, there is a ton of information on YouTube for different positions and even different companies if they're big enough. I would at least spend 20 to 30 minutes prepping. You want to understand a brief history of the company, what markets they play in, any big projects they have, any PR or news that they have in the marketplace, and you want to be informed. In this market, people are going to be way more prepared than they have been previously. So if you haven't interviewed for a while, you're going to want to make sure that you are prepared. The final stage is the negotiation stage. This is where offers are made, and this is where you can either accept the offer, reject the offer, or do a counter offer. Now, with a counter offer, essentially you are making a new offer. So once you make a counter offer, then the company can either accept, reject, or they may even give another counter offer. The most I've ever seen people go back and forth is 1 or 2 times. Some companies have walked away after counter offers, and in this market, you need to be a little bit careful not accepting their first offer, or be careful with the counter offers that you make. Some mistakes people make with counter offers, sometimes they just ask for way more. They're asking for 10, 20, 30% more. I think if you stick with a 3 to 5% range, like you're asking for 3 to 5% more on the offer in the counter offer, you're usually safe. The only exception to this is if in that first screening call where the recruiter says, what are you targeting? And you say, for example, 80 to 100K, and then the company comes through with 60K, you know what? You are within full right to say, no, I'm looking for 80K. That's what we discussed at the beginning of this process. But whenever you make a counter offer, you need to be willing to walk away from the offer completely because there's no guarantee the company will accept it. So now that I've gone through all those different phases, here's what you need to look at. Is there a common phase that you're not making it past? Usually you will not make it past the application process or the screening process or even the interview process. That's when you need to start looking for what's going wrong. In the application process, it's either your resume or you're just applying to the wrong jobs. During the screening process, there might be something you're saying. So if you can, actually record your side of the conversations and listen back to what you're saying. Same with the interview. You need to do the same thing. If you can record yourself, if it's a Zoom call, or if you can record yourself in an in-person, they don't need to know you're recording, and you're not doing it to put them into trouble. You're just doing it so you can hear what you're saying and see how you can improve. The last thing I will leave with, because I know this has been a long video, is you could pretty much do everything right in this job market and still not get the job. So use this video as a guideline, and if this video was helpful, please hit me up with a follow. I appreciate all of you guys, and thanks for sharing.